Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald Times coming to you from the barn, Williams Arena here in Minneapolis. One of the coolest venues in the Big Ten. Really one of my favorites. This is my first time here, honestly, but this very quickly has gone right up the list of coolest places we'll see in any given season. Indiana's had some troubles here. There's no doubt about that. This has not been a very kind gym to the Hoosiers in recent seasons. I think they were something like 1-5 in their last six, most recently. But they got one today. They got a pretty important one. You can't lose this one. You can't come up to Minnesota and lose to the Gophers this year. Not this year's Gophers. They are not very good. For whatever reasons, though, Indiana at times played down to their opponent today. Minnesota is clearly one of the Big Ten's worst teams, and Indiana got off to a really, really sluggish start before finishing a 70-63 victory over Minnesota here this afternoon in Minneapolis. The bright side for Indiana, though, looking past some of the hiccups and the speed bumps, can't even get the words out of my mouth, was really the play of Yogi Ferrell. I thought Yogi Ferrell did a really fantastic job of doing just being himself, being the kind of player that Indiana needs him to be, the player that Indiana thought he could be by coming back through this for this senior year of his. So many important moments for Ferrell down the stretch. There just seemed to be a real calming presence, calming influence that Ferrell gave to this team when he decided that it was time to win. I think Indiana had 13 turnovers, I think 10 of which were in the first half. But over the last 16 minutes or so, 16:30, they didn't have a single one. Ferrell hit, I think, 7 of IU's final 11 points. He had a big steal that turned a 4-point lead into 6 with about 32 seconds left. And he hit some big free throws that essentially sealed this one up. Really, really encouraging performance from Yogi Ferrell, who, by the way, he scored 20 points, but he also had 7 assists. And those 7, I think, now make him one shy of tying Michael Lewis's career record of 545, I believe. I don't have that in front of me right now. I think it's 545. It's a record Ferrell's going to get. It's something we kind of looked at before the season and knew it was inevitable, knew it was coming, and he will very likely get it Tuesday night against Illinois back home at Assembly Hall. Really, though, it was Ferrell. It was that whole group of veterans on this team. Really, when Indiana went, I think they went nearly 3:30, first 3 minutes 30 seconds of this one without a field goal. Really had 5 or 6 empty possessions to start this one off, and then Max Bielfeld kind of calmed him down, got a couple back to back, and got things rolling in at least some sort of direction. Bielfeld had some big moments. Nick Zeisloft really. Before Ferrell really took over in the second half, Zeisloft was the one who really gave this team a jolt. Hit 4 straight three-pointers midway through the first period. Ended 5 of 8 from three-point range. Really got his stroke back going after a rough go at it through the first 4 conference games. Necessary and important production from Nick Zeisloft on the night when there were some quiet performances from the IU starting lineup. Robert Johnson had some foul issues, only finished with 2 points. Troy Williams was a little bit of everything today. We've kind of talked about in the past the many faces of Troy Williams. Saw virtually all of them today, some of which came in a succession of different possessions. On one end, he'll take a poor shot, go on the other and get a block, and then a dunk in transition. That was Williams today. OG Anunoby had some really solid production off the bench, especially just his defensive presence once again. I mean, this guy, you hope that he can kind of sustain this moving forward. You do wonder, though, when that freshman wall inevitably and eventually comes. Really, though, he had another OG-esque performance. Had a big steal right around the half-court line and turned it into a dunk, and then started raising the roof, which I've not seen anyone raise the roof in about 16, 17, 18 years. So that was new. We got to see someone raise the roof, although a lot of people were tweeting at me that LeBron James is trying to bring that back. So for what it's worth, I guess OG was kind of riding the tails of LeBron James recently. But anyway, some decent production from OG once again off the bench. He did actually take an elbow to the head. I think it might have been a Colin Hartman elbow, actually, in the second half, and had to be checked out by trainers. Tom Crean did say, however, after the game that he was cleared. He was fine, and apparently he was fine in the locker room. No other update was given to Crean as far as, lingering issues, whether it be a possible concussion or anything like that. Just seemed to get a pretty good bump and left the game. But apparently he's fine. We'll see. Make sure that is not anything that lingers into Tuesday's game back home. Indiana's won 10 in a row. They're still atop the Big Ten. And their month of January, which features a whole lot of games against teams that really don't have a March future. It continues next week with Illinois and Northwestern. You get Illinois on Tuesday, then you get Northwestern on Saturday. Northwestern will actually be in a pretty interesting game. I do like the Wildcats this year, and sorry, I got distracted by someone down there. It appears that Alex Ola could be back for that game, which would certainly be a boost. Ola in the past has really taken it to IU at different points, and it was certainly the case last year in Evanston. But that'll be an interesting game. Illinois could be pretty interesting too. But again, these are teams that Indiana should be beating, just like they should have beaten Minnesota today and did follow through with that. It's going to get a lot interesting here the next couple weeks, but for now, Indiana's doing what they need to do to get these wins, and I think that's the most important part. They're not always pretty, but it almost seems like Indiana has been conditioned to get through some of the the storms that pop up in some of these games. This actually had a feel of Rutgers, honestly. There was a sense that obviously Indiana was not playing its best basketball, but the water did find its level, to use a cliche there. Eventually, they basically just outlasted them, even with 2 or 3 guys not having very productive afternoons here at Williams Arena. I keep getting distracted by this guy down here. That'll do it for me. We're going to head out into the biting cold. It is so cold here. We got here, and I think it was a high of 0 today. It's supposed to get down to, I'm checking as much for myself as I am for anybody else. It's 0 degrees right now. It'll be, good Lord, it'll be negative 15, negative 17 at some point. So miserably cold. Anyway, that's what I have to look forward to outside those doors. I'm going to go check it out. See you guys.